You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome in, everyone, to today's edition of the Royals Rundown podcast presented by Royals Review. I'm Jac Caglianone, joined per usual by my illustrious co-host, Jeremy Greco. Jeremy, happy Thursday. The work week is almost done, but holy smokes, it is. I don't know what it's hotter than. It's hotter than a lot of things right now. It's certainly hotter than the Royals. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I think this is the longest the Royals have gone without losing a game this year.
I'll take it. I will take it. This is an absolute win. Well, we do have some Royal stuff to talk about before we kick off the second half of the season. We'll take a look at the All-Star festivities, a little bit more of the draft fallout after we have had a few days to chew on it. Plus, we got to take a look at some goals that we have for the Royals heading into the second half of the season. But before we get too deep into it, a reminder as always to follow or subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening to us at. If you want to follow us on social media, all of our links are down in the podcast description below. And most importantly, go check out royalsreview.com where you can feed the feed, join the comment community, or just read all the great work that goes on over there from the team. Jeremy, I think, didn't I see earlier this week, Trenton put together an article talking about Avila as the team's future closer, something you've harped on a lot?
Yes, he did. And to be entirely clear, I didn't get the idea of Avila being the closer, but I did get the idea of, we need to go ahead and just get him out of the rotation and have him closing already from him, and fell in love with it. I haven't been writing a ton outside the pre-games and the recaps this year because I'm doing 2 pre-games and recaps a week.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But I went ahead and wrote an article today, if anyone's interested, on how I would fix the All-Star break.
Ooh, interesting.
Maybe we'll talk about that later, but if not, it's up on Royals Review.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
Queen Carvania stood haloed by the morning sun. An army hung on her every word.
My champions, I have sold my chariot on Carvana. 'Twas a lovely SUV, an inexplicably queenly offer. They're even coming to the castle to collect it. Tonight, we feast. An offer you can feast on. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
There you go. All right. But yep, as always, you can find that up on royalsreview.com. And yeah, we will be talking about that a little bit later on. Let's go ahead and just roll right into the All-Star game stuff. It is all in the books. Folks are, I would hope, not resting at home. This is Thursday evening. After all, the Royals do play a game Friday evening. So hopefully they aren't just lounging about. Hopefully they're still staying a little spry. But it's all done. Draft is done. Home Run Derby's done. All-Star game is done. I will admit I was very surprised to see the AL squad take that in a pretty one-sided affair. Jeremy, you're shaking your head.
The Royals broke Christopher Sanchez.
They did.
That's the only thing.
They did. That was so Christopher Sanchez, like before that Royals start, I would say he was the slight favorite for the NL Cy Young over Miz up in the Milwaukee Brewers rotation.
I
it's
still would have
close.
given Miz the edge. But
I gotcha. Well, certainly after that Royals start, and then certainly after his performance in the Midsummer Classic.
Yeah,
that was unexpected.
I don't think the All-Star game should count against him. but certainly the game against the Royals, and now you have to wonder what's his next start gonna look like. I guess he must have had one in between facing the Royals and the All-Star game, and I don't know how that one went. I'd have to look it up, but he's gonna have to pick things up, and Miz is probably gonna have a couple of bad starts, or else it's gonna be I mean, it's basically the Miz's award to lose at this point, I would think, unless
Yeah.
Shohei maybe has something to say a little about it. He's been pitching pretty good. Doesn't have
Well,
the innings or the strikeouts, though.
no, 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 and Shohei, is dealing with more injury stuff. I know
Oh,
he's
is he?
available as a designated hitter this coming weekend, but it sounds like he's gonna be off the mound for a little bit. So
Yeah, that'll
that
probably do it. I know he said before the season started he wanted to win a Cy Young award. That was his next goal for himself. It just seems like he can't stay on the mound enough to make that happen. I think people forget how good of a pitcher he is because of how good a hitter he is.
yeah,
Like, he would be a Hall of Famer as a pitcher or as a hitter. That's the crazy thing. If he was just one of those, he could be either of them and be a Hall of Famer, and he's both. It's so crazy, but he can't seem to stay on the mound, and that sucks.
yeah, but I mean, Otani's pitching aside, it was the AL pitchers who really stood out in this
Yeah.
All-Star game. 15 strikeouts, I believe, which I
Yep.
know was like just shy of the All-Star game record, which is wild when you think about that rate. Like, of course, these are the best pitchers that the AL has to offer in theory, right? But these are also the best batters that the NL has to offer in theory. So it was very unexpected, but a 3-0 win over the National League. Man, I just feel like I miss when the All-Star game mattered a little bit more than it does right now, Jeremy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, people make fun of the era where the All-Star game determined home field advantage for the World Series, and I think that's fair, but I do also kinda miss it a little bit. I don't know. It was kinda dumb, but it was also kinda fun.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a little stake. Just a little stake. And with all the, I don't know what bonuses there are, if they're in contracts or like how that all works out behind the scenes. I'm sure there are side bets. Like we had Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper talking about, you know, someone's gonna have to buy dinner, someone's gonna have to buy a watch after the home run derby results.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just something a little fun would be nice. But I feel like the Royals representatives shined bright. Like Michael Waka looked very good. He had 2 strikeouts in his own right in his single inning of work. Bobby Witt Jr. helped score one of those 3 runs and looked very good out in the field. Got lifted for Detroit Tigers shortstop Kevin McGonigal, I believe, later on in the game. But like overall, Kansas City was represented well.
Yeah, and, the Derby didn't go exactly the way that we hoped. It didn't go the way either of us predicted at all, but Jack was not the worst home run hitter. I think if you told most people Jack is gonna hit as many home runs as Bryce Harper in the Derby, they'd have felt pretty good about it,
Yeah.
and that's what happened. I thought Bryce Harper's best home run derby days might be behind him, and it seems like they kinda were, but, boy, I think we both underestimated Wilson Contreras a little bit. I have to admit I maybe underestimated him a lot.
I underestimated both finalists a lot,
Yeah.
truth be told. Jordan
Schwarber
Walker,
was the other Schwarber and Walker were the finalists. Did you underestimate Schwarber, really?
I did.
Wow, I figured Schwarber would be a finalist.
I didn't think he would be a finalist. I thought he'd get knocked out by, Junior Caminero or,
Mhm.
Perhaps Ben Rice, but neither one of those guys got deep into the affair at all.
Rice had the worst
Murakami,
showing.
yeah, yes, he did. Murakami, similar to Jack, right? No one was questioning the raw power, but the numbers of home runs in the Derby did not show up with that. I will say this about Jack though. A lot of the guys looked just absolutely gassed when
Mhm.
they were done with their slot in the Derby. Jack did not.
No.
Jack looked like I could take another 20 and be
Yeah.
good.
He and Jordan Walker both impressed me with their ability to just park monster bombs and look like they weren't even trying. I knew Jordan Walker had power. I did not know he had that much power. He was one of the things I found interesting and one of the reasons I didn't think Wilson Contreras was going to make it far after that first round was Wilson Contreras had to put everything he had into every swing because he was hitting moon shots. Whereas Jordan Walker was hitting line drives. He's like, I just make solid contact and that sucker goes out of here. I don't even need a full swing. So I thought that Jordan Walker, once I saw them in the first round, I thought Wilson Contreras was going to be too tired to make it very far and that Jordan Walker could go for a while. I just didn't think he had the raw power to compete with Caminero and Schwarber. I also thought that Murakami and Cags would do a little bit better, but I think especially when it comes to Jack, the pressure might have got to him a little bit. It looked like he was a little antsy, and I'm not sure what happened to Murakami. I'm sure he's
Maybe
done
same
home run
thing.
derbies before in Japan.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. I think I hope we'll see Jack in the Derby again next year. And I expect that when and if we do see him again, he will perform better. He'll be a little bit more prepared for that spotlight.
Well, there's no questioning the fact that Cags had one of the most impressive home runs
Yeah.
in the Derby, that 477-foot shot to the third deck in right field. You don't hear about that very, very often, but that ball absolutely jumped off the bat. And it wasn't the longest home run on the night. That's all right. But like,
I
oh,
I think that home run should have been counted as further than they counted it, but what do
you
I
think
know?
so?
Yeah, I look at it where that home run went and how hard it was hit, it just feels like, really? That's only 7 feet longer than Jordan Walker's first home run in the first round? That doesn't feel right.
It doesn't, but hey, that's one of the beauties of baseball. No stadium is exactly the same as the other. And overall, I feel good about Cags' performance, right?
No, he did not embarrass himself. I think I go back to Mike Moustakas in I think it was 2017. That was a disappointing performance because he just looked like he kinda didn't really have the power to be a derby contestant, and I'm not convinced that that's true, but that's what he looked like. He might have been hurting. I know
Might
he
have been,
got
yeah.
hurt shortly after that, and I wonder if he was already kind of dealing with something. But he lost to Miguel Sano, who also didn't have a great derby performance in that derby.
Yeah.
So that was a disappointment. I did not think Jack had a disappointing derby. He just didn't make it out of the first round. It was if you looking at the numbers, and I can't remember if we talked about this Sunday. It was one of the more impressive derby fields that we've had in a while. So I don't think it's shameful to not make it out of the first round. I said Sunday that we had kind of a clear top four of Jack, Murakami, Schwarber, and Caminero. And so then if anybody surprises you and Walker and Contreras, I feel like we're both pretty big surprises
Yeah.
to some degree, then you that's a lot of raw talent that you have to beat out to be in the top half, and Jack just didn't quite make it. If he got on that streak where he was just hitting dinger after dinger, and they were all massive bombs, and if he'd gotten on that streak just a little bit sooner, or if he'd found it again on that last pitch, maybe we'd be talking about something different. I really do think he'll have a better derby performance, and hopefully, we were talking about if he has a good derby, maybe that builds confidence for the second half. I'm hoping that he either says, "Okay, little adversity, but I still wasn't the worst one out there, and I can do this. Like, I deserved to be there, so I'm gonna be stronger." Or he said, "Listen, I had as many home runs as Bryce Harper," and he still comes up with a confidence boost. I hope. I don't know anything right now, but I hope.
Well, so here's if fans remember, Bobby, he placed second in the 2024 Home Run Derby when he made his appearance, and that led to, I mean, that might have helped contribute to his red hot second
Mhm,
half in 2024. Like, remember, he was going absolutely scorched earth to
mhm.
close out that season. So hopefully, maybe Jack gets a little bit of that shine as well. Also, if you're looking for some more positives, Jack had the longest average home run distance from the field. He beat out Junior Caminero by 4 feet, and it was like them. It was Jack at 448, Caminero at 444, and then there's a pretty significant gap down to like the 430.
There were there were 0 wall scrapers in Jack's arsenal.
Exactly. And unfortunately, this is a little bit more of the same from what we've seen from Jack, right? Like the ball jumps off the bat, but it results in a lot of line drives, a lot of, still a lot of ground balls. And he's just got to get a little bit more lift under the ball, a little bit more backspin rather than front spin on the ball. It's all
I
right.
I still really like the Jordan Walker comp for Jack. I was kind of giving that earlier in the season when Jack was struggling a little bit and Walker had finally bloomed. Walker's been in the bigs for a few years and everyone was like, well, maybe he's a bust. And he came through and he's been really good this year. And Jack has not been a bust. He's been an above average big league hitter. He's improved his defense and base running greatly over what he had last year. You can't look at him and say that's a bust. You look at him and say that's a guy who's getting better. And he's not where you want him to be. He's not a superstar yet, though he looked like one for most of June, but he's a guy who's getting better. And if he still got more in the tank the same way that Jordan Walker did, like Jordan Walker's turned into a legit above average kind of quasi all. I feel like he's still kind of at the bottom of the all-star, but still an all-star. Jack could be like top vote getting all-star kind of quality guy, MVP
Yeah.
votes kind of guy
Yeah.
in the next couple of years if he can grow in the same way that Jordan Walker grew. And I'm telling you, one of the things that told people Bobby could become who he's become is they looked at him and said, man, his defense got so much better after that rookie year where everyone said, I don't know if this guy can do this. He looked so much better. Jack's defense has improved. He's shown, he's put it on tape that he's a guy who will work to make this happen. So I'm not even close to giving up on Jack's superstardom yet.
That's very true. That's very true. We'll just have to wait and see. Quick answer here, Jeremy, not a long one. If you had to put Bobby or Jack in the 2027 home run derby, which one would you pick?
Bobby, just
Bobby, you
because
think so?
he made the finals before, and I'd rather put them both. That's an option. Let's do that. But I think I would go Bobby just because let's go for it. Let's get the guy out there who's pushed it before.
Okay. Well, I'll pick the other end of the coin here, and I will say Jack because I would love to see back-to-back performances there after Jack was, still a very small number of Royals have been in the home run derby period. So getting Jack as a repeat guy in there would be pretty cool, I will say. Some big MLB stuff before we get onto the Royals second half stuff. Old friend Phillies reliever Brad Keller tore his right UCL. I'm definitely ending his season and probably taking him out for most of 2027 if he has surgery on it. He was looking pretty decent in the Philadelphia bullpen, and it's really unfortunate to see this after he rebuilt his MLB value, and he's hitting the injured list once again. Also, another old friend thing that popped up thanks to Royals Review social media, Mark Canna on freaking Food Network. Did you see that,
Yeah.
Jeremy?
I did see that. You'd be surprised how many pro athletes show up on Food Network. They've got a host. I'm blanking on his name right now, but one of their best hosts or most frequently used hosts is a former NFL running back.
Okay, that's interesting. I would not have picked that, but I mean, yeah, a lot of athletes they'll pop back up in very unexpected places thanks to the fact that they are former athletes and get a little bit of that those inroads and things like that.
When there's a quarterback, I can't remember his name either, who hosts all the time. Also, I think he was a Reds quarterback, or not Reds, Bengals quarterback at one point.
Queen Carvania stood haloed by the morning sun. An army hung on her every word.
My champions, I have sold my chariot on Carvana. 'Twas a lovely SUV, an inexplicably queenly offer. They're even coming to the castle to collect it. Tonight, we feast! An offer you can feast on. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Interesting. Well, certainly not the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton.
I think
Another-
I think it might have been Andy Dalton, actually.
There's no way.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, you look it up while I point out another thing. So we all know how pervasive AI is getting into everyday life, and the dugout is no exception. MLB is cracking down on using AI via dugout iPads to help shape those in-game decisions, according to The Athletic.
Jesse Palmer.
Jesse Palmer. Close. Close, not gonna lie. I think this is interesting because I never would have thought about, there being enough data to get in-game decisions quick enough via artificial intelligence, but lo and behold, the commissioner's office sent out a memo pushing the boundaries of guidelines governing the use of technology by, in many cases, installing custom apps that expanded the use of iPads beyond their originally intended purpose to include recommendations regarding substitutions, pitch calling, and other in-game decisions traditionally made by players and coaches. I think this is a very good move from the league. Jeremy, what say you?
Yeah. So I was reading the Athletic article on this, and one of the big trends this year, started by the Marlins, has been the idea of making pitch suggestions from the dugout, which is already kind of offensive enough to me. Like, when I was a kid, the catcher or pitcher would get a scouting report on the other team, and they'd have to remember it, and then they'd do all their stuff. And then they started giving the catchers those play calling sheets like the quarterbacks have, so they could check the tendencies and all this stuff in game. And then now they got the managers calling it, they got the coaches calling it, and now you're going to tell me you can't even do the collation yourself? You're going to drop AI into this to figure it out? I mean, come on, guys. At what point do we just go ahead and play MLB The Show instead of putting guys on the field?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, I am absolutely all one for analytics. However, I think that if we want to preserve the human element in the game, making that like exclusively a pre-game thing is important because you make coaches, you make players adjust on the fly, but use the information that they have been given via analytics, via research and development, and things like that. So I think this is a very good move from MLB to regulate the use of iPads in this way.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that AI, and we have to remember that not all AI is bad AI. When you're talking bad AI, you're usually talking about LLMs, large language models. But one of the things that I've always championed for AI is the collation of data. Is you give it a bunch of data and it can spit out the patterns for you in a really easy to read way. You're like, here's every pitch thrown by this pitcher and every count and all this stuff, and it can show you the tendencies, right? That's a great thing for AI to be able to do pattern recognition on limited samples. But we don't want that in game. You don't need that in game. That's again, you're taking the human element out of it too much. And honestly, I feel like calling pitches from the dugout is taking too much of the catcher and the pitcher out of it. I realized earlier this year that having managers who weren't players used to be a controversial. It used to be that teams didn't have managers, and then they used to have, okay, this guy is kind of in charge of our strategy, but he's also a player. This is our lead player, and he comes up with our strategy. And then guys started retiring and being like, well, I don't want to leave. I'm just going to sit in the dugout and tell y'all what to do. And then they came up with, and it became this whole thing. So like we've been constantly, ever since baseball came out, we've been creeping away from the ideal form or the initial form of just players versus players you went to managers, and then you added hitting coaches and pitching coaches, and now you have 20 hitting coaches and 20 pitching coaches, and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not gonna say, well, we should go back to the purest form of baseball. That's dumb. But I will say, like, let's not you I'm okay with some advancements, and I'm okay. You can have as many hitting coaches as you want. You can have 26 hitting coaches, and I'm not going to complain. But you do have to put a boundary somewhere. You have to draw a line somewhere if you're gonna keep the sport the sport. That's also my argument for why I want rid of why I wanted rid of the infield shifts, and why I still think that the middle infielders should not be able to line up basically directly behind second base, because aesthetically, a ground ball up the middle used to always be a hit. And aesthetically, it's pleasing that a ground ball up the middle is a hit. It looks good in the sport. And now that almost every ground ball up the middle is an out, it feels bad. It feels bad both as honestly, it doesn't feel good even when I'm on defense. I'm like, oh man, the pitcher didn't make a good pitch. The hitter got a good hit. Just, the analytics put the defender in his way. It wasn't that the players outplayed him. It's that we got kind of lucky. And I don't like that feeling. So, I feel like we should draw more lines than we have drawn in order and that I could go on and on and on about this. So I'll just let it go there. That
Okay.
the line's got to get drawn somewhere, and absolutely the line should be drawn with AI in the dugout, whether it's LLM or otherwise.
Yeah, there you go. I think we can all agree on that. Obviously, I say all of us, but obviously, teams would not agree with that. Apparently, according to The Athletic, about a third of MLB clubs were using the dugout iPads for at least one of these purposes, i.e., the substitutions, pitch calling, or traditional in-game decisions. So that is definitely interesting. But this memo was sent out on June 11th, and it had to be enforced and effective before the start of the second half of the season, which is tomorrow. Seems like everyone's in compliance. They've gotten plenty of time, so we will see. I'm interested to see if there's a narrative that comes out of this, right? Like if one team suddenly really starts struggling, or if a team that we knew was calling pitchers from the dugout really doesn't do as well. Well, are they going to say, "Oh, it's because they didn't have this technology now"? But that is way, 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 way down the road. Another thing that's way, way, way down the. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that MLB did look into whether any of what these teams were doing constituted cheating, and decided that nothing constituted cheating. They just didn't want to let it progress any further lest it become cheating.
Correct. I think that's an important distinction. All right. One other thing that is way, way, way down the road is the Royals announced today their 2027 schedule. So the Royals will be opening the 2027 season back at home in Kauffman Stadium against the Minnesota Twins. They will have 6 games in 7 days against AL Central opponents, Twins and Chicago White Sox. So that'll be fun to open up the season on a homestand. Of course, they're going to play every team. There's no drama. There's no big reveal there. But if you want to go check it out, it's up on Royals.com, and just start scouting out which series you want to catch and why. All right. So, Jeremy, I think it's now time where we can really shift our focus to the second half of the season. I know that we had a few days to chew on the MLB draft. We saw the entire results. We saw all 21 selections from the Royals. And I wanted to ask, have your feelings changed? Has your outlook changed at all in the time since we last spoke?
2 things I've noticed that just make me feel more convicted, in my opinion, that the Royals did not make a mistake in taking Zion Rose 6th overall. Of course, I could turn out to be wrong if Zion Rose completely bombs, but based on the information I have right now, not of the players in the first round who have signed, not a single one has signed for his slot value or higher, including Rod Chalowski. But of particular note to me was AJ Gracia, who came in 3 picks after the Royals and over $1 million below his slot. So other teams were looking at that going, I don't know, I don't want to draft my slot either.
Yeah.
And Keith Law did further analysis on the draft, and he had already said that if Zion Rose hadn't been injured, he would have been a top 15 pick. He elucidated further, saying that offensively, Zion Rose was a top 10 talent. It was just the defense that brought him all the way back to 22. And 2 things stand out to me there. First of all, there is a designated hitter spot for a reason. Worst case scenario, Zion Rose can be a designated hitter who hits the tar out of the ball, and I'm not going to complain. Second of all, the Royals have one of the best outfield coaches in baseball in Rusty Kuntz. Loves to work with the minor league guys. Zion Rose has said and shown a desire to improve with his outfield defense. And we've even seen Jac Caglianone, how much he could improve with his outfield defense over just one offseason with the Royals coaching. I fully believe that Zion Rose is going to end up being a competent left fielder, if not a center fielder, because he's got the speed to play out there too. And the only reason he's not going to be in right field is he doesn't have an arm, and that's fine. If you can hit and you can catch, I'm not going to, and especially if you can also run, I don't care if you throw. I'm going to live without you throwing in that scenario. So, yeah, that's I top 10 offensive talent, and they took him top 10, and they're probably going to pay him under slot. They've got this pitcher. They've got a couple pitchers that I really like. They've got that 19th round high schooler that they're hoping to sign with way over slot money that they think could turn into something. I like the draft. It looks better and better to me the further we get from it.
So here's the thing. I agree that it does look better and better as we get away from it, but I think that's also a little bit of the reality of like, okay, well, this is it. I love the Royals. I can either dig my heels in and hope this draft class is terrible because I'm a prideful person and that was my initial reaction and I have to be right, or I can accept that this is what it is, hope for the best, root for the team, and root for these individual guys. And it's definitely become more of the latter than the former. So here's the thing. I still don't feel good about the Zion Rose pick. I still don't love it. I think that the underslot strategy is going to benefit the Royals. I think we are going to get a lot of that. I am hoping that it benefits them enough that they can sign their 19th round selection. I wrote up something on Hudson Devon today because I called him the underslot insurance policy, because a lot of the underslot focus is going towards, the second rounder Jack Caglianone and fourth rounder Dominic Batista, two of the four prep players that the Royals drafted overall. And of course, both those guys are excellent or highly regarded talents. We heard a lot about the Batista stuff on Kaufman Corner. I know it sounds like David Lesky talked to some folks who were like very frustrated that the Royals got Batista where they did, even though he wasn't a ranked prospect.
Some were frustrated that they got Slydom where they did too.
Yeah. So that is, if there's any comfort there, I found some, but a lot of my focus is on, okay, if we can get $1 million savings out of Rock Chalowski, the top overall pick, how much can the Royals get out of Zion Rose? And is it enough to get Hudson Devon away from his Alabama commitment and get him into the Royals organization? Royals took a shot in the dark there. He was Pipeline's 138th ranked prospect. The Royals drafted him at 569th. And it was all just from signability concerns. So if they have enough savings, if they can get Slydom and Batista, great, cool. That should be the expectation at least. But if something falls apart with one of them, or if they can scramble together enough savings from other players and get Devon, I think that this is a much better draft class. And one other thing on Batista before I move on is, I did not realize this before the draft. I was like, why are folks excited about an unranked prospect, a guy who hasn't really been regarded by any outlet? And apparently it's because he suffered a hamate injury earlier on in the spring, so that sapped his value, but we will see what the Royals can develop with him. Jeremy, go ahead.
I just wanted to throw out there that I was listening to what's Effectively Wild, and they had Eric Longenhagen, the Fangraphs prospects guy, draft guy, and he pointed out that the Brewers have had a strategy for a few years now of getting college guys, affordable college guys in the first 10 rounds or so, and then in those last 10 rounds they draft a bunch of high schoolers and then sign whoever they can and develop them themselves. And those are guys that they feel good about, but all have, signability concerns, and they don't expect to sign all of those guys, but they do hope that the guys they sign are going to actually turn into something really good. So they kind of go safe with their college guys and then take some risks with their high school guys. The Royals, as you pointed out, only took 4 high school guys in this draft, so they're not using that strategy, but they did go safe college and expensive high school.
They did.
And if you get all 4 of those high school guys, especially the 3 we've talked about, I don't even know who the 4th one is, so I don't know how much I care about him.
He has a 70 grade name. Are you ready for this? It's Banks Wickersham.
Oh yeah, the trust fund baby. Clearly, you don't have a name like that. Anyway, if the Royals get these three high schoolers that we know are big deals, and then they get their safe college guys, and again, I think there's a difference between a safe college guy who's safe because he hits and a safe college guy who's safe because he's got good defense up the middle. Zion Rose is a safe college guy because he hits. He just hits.
That's true.
And that was all I ever wanted, was a college guy who could hit. That's why I liked Burris. And if you're telling me I don't got to get Burris, I can go underslot and still get a safe college hitter, cool. Let's do it. So that I'm still super stoked. I can see the vision. And I think the Royals, I do also want to point out, it's very interesting that the Royals pushed back so hard against the narrative that they might take someone like Burris because they wanted guys who could move fast, because they're frustrated with the talent at the top of their farm system and how the team has performed this year. But then drafted some guys that a bunch of those college guys looked like they could move really fast.
Yeah,
whether that's to become relievers or what. So, and even Brian Bridges, scouting director Brian Bridges, said that during a press conference, that he thought a lot of these guys could move fast. So whether they wanted to do, whether that was an intention going in, it is the result.
There you go. There you go. And yeah, I do think we're going to see plenty of these 2026 draftees make their affiliated ball debuts this year. Like, I look at a guy like Camden Johnson out of Oklahoma, right? He's an infield type, but he's got good hitting skills. He just needs more looks against secondaries and off-speed pitches. So let's go get him those looks in low-A Columbia. Just go down the line. There's a lot of relief prospects. There's a lot of guys who profile best as relievers. The Royals, I'm sure, will try to stretch out one or two of them, but there's going to be a lot of ripple effects here. I'm interested to see who the Royals move on from after these guys get under contract. They start shuffling folks around to the different, low A, high A's, hopefully some double A promotions. Looking at you, Ken Churio. But we'll see what happens there.
Shields.
Yeah, both of them. David Shields
And
finally had
Blake Mitchell.
Blake Mitchell too. He just needs to get tested against
Also,
double A pitching.
I would really like to see Rockefort in AAA.
I would too. Here's the thing: Rockefort's taken another step back, and the strikeout rate is still bad.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not.
still want to see him in AAA.
I've cooled on him immensely, man. I really
Fair
have.
enough.
But let's go ahead and pivot on over to the Royals' second half, because we still have like 65 games left in the season. Not exactly halfway mark, but I think we can get through 65 more, right, Jeremy?
We're gonna have to, Jacob. I think. I don't think we've been given a choice in this matter.
No, we have not. And I don't want to get cute with it. My biggest goal for the Royals in the second half is to have no more than 40 losses, because I think if you end 2026 with a 100-loss season, even if it's a 99-loss season, even if it's a 98-loss season, screams major regression. Right now, they're kind of flirting with the 2023 trend, and that is not the team that you want to be emulating in the win-loss record. But I don't care. I don't care how the Royals cobble it together. I don't care what the team like. I don't care who's getting what plate appearances after the trade deadline. I don't care who they cut, who they trade, things like that. I just don't want the team to get more than 40 losses. I think that would be a hard pill for the fan base to swallow heading into the offseason.
I don't care about how many wins or they could lose every game for the rest of the year, and I'm okay with that.
Damn.
What I care about, I mean, it wouldn't be fun to watch.
No.
But as far as like what it means for the future, I don't think it matters if you lose 99, if you lose 112. What I think matters is get at least two good prospects in the upper levels at the trade deadline. Whether that's Waka for one, and then you do a bundle to get another one, or whatever it is you got to do. I think you need to add at least two high quality prospects with big upside. I don't want to see high floor guys. I want to see high upside guys, high ceiling guys, and guys who, have a good chance to hit that ceiling. I don't want to see like, well, if he lowers his strikeout rate from 40, he could become a star. Like, that's not high upside to me, okay? And then I want to see guys like Trenton was saying on Royals Review. I want to see Avila in the bullpen. I want to see him trying to close out games because that's his future with this team. I want him to get used to that so that next year maybe he's closing some games that matter. I want to see John Rave back up here. I want to see Cameron Meisner up here. Lane Thomas is going to be gone. Starling Marte's probably going to be gone. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Almost the entire bullpen needs to be gone. Beck Way can stay. Steven Cruz can stay. And Avila can stay. Everybody else in that bullpen should be traded.
Okay. All right. To include Alex Lang and Daniel Lynch the fourth, who have another year of team
Daniel
control,
Lynch the fourth, his trade value is never going to get higher than it is right now.
It's really not.
He's quietly not been pitching as well since the beginning of the year. And Alex Lang has shown an ability to close most games. Not every game, but most games. He can close more games than Andres Munoz can right now, Seattle.
Yeah. That he can.
Would you like to hey Chicago, all you've got's a closer. Would you like some relief help from John Schreiber and Daniel Lynch? Would somebody like Michael Wacha to start some games for him? I'm gonna reiterate this again, and I may say this every podcast until the trade deadline. The Royals said they don't want to trade Michael Wacha because they don't want to have to find another starter for next year. Just because you keep Michael Wacha doesn't mean you don't need to find a starter to replace him next year. You don't have a guarantee that he will pitch next year as well as he has this year. For one thing, he's not pitching as well right now as he was earlier this year. So if you can get a good trade for him, if you can get somebody's top 10 prospect, you need to do that. If you can get a 50 future value prospect, you need to do that because there's no guarantees he will be this good next year. He is not young enough to say, well, he'll definitely be at least this good next year. Now, I think Michael Wacha has been the picture of consistency. I think I would bet on Michael Wacha to be as good as he is this year, next year. Well, close. Only, let's say, less than 10% worse next year. Okay? But you probably can get something really good for him at the trade deadline this year that will improve your team more than 10% worse Michael Wacha next year.
Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
You need to do that. And then you need to find someone else to be the next Michael Wacha next year in free agency. Just like when you went and signed Michael Wacha, you didn't know Michael Wacha was going to be Michael Wacha for you, or nobody else knew it. Maybe you did. Maybe your scouting and your coaching told you he could be this. Your scouting and coaching can tell you who the next one's going to be too.
Yeah.
So make it happen.
That's where organizations prove the difference between luck and process, right? The Royals,
they want to be like the Brewers. The Brewers are trading Michael Wacha right now.
Yeah,
they've done it before with Corbin Burns, who was better than Michael Wacha, but Michael Wacha's what the Royals got, and the Brewers will do it again. So the Royals, and I think the Royals need to spend more than the Brewers. I think the Brewers should spend more than they do. But in this specific situation, that's the move to make.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see if the Royals pull the trigger on that. It absolutely sounds like, and if I'm just reading the tea leaves here, I don't think it's likely that the Royals move on from Wacha, if only for the fact that he's under contract for 2027. They have an option for him for 2028. And, it's frustrating that the Royals would take trading him off the table right now. But, between Vern's retraction that we talked about previously, between Andy Rodgers' writing, it sounds like that is the situation that the Royals are in right now in the name of, hey, we still want to be able to compete in 2027. And I think with any prospect that they acquire, they should prioritize that. They should prioritize trying to get prospects who can realistically help in 2027. I'm not talking about a high A guy who just shoots up through double A to start off 2026 or 2027, excuse me. and makes a debut late in 2027. No, I want guys who can come into camp in Arizona and realistically have a chance to break camp with the Royals. That's what I want for prospect.
Yeah, I think that's where the Royals need to be focusing. I think they've got so much talent at high A. If you look at that roster, it's just stacked. And if somebody offers you like a top 100 prospect who's in high A, yeah, you probably do that deal. But all else being equal, I think you have nothing in double A. You have nothing in triple A outside of Lampkin and Rockefort, basically. And Lampkin's hurt and Rockefort's slumping. So you need if you're trying to add talent, that's where you need to add it. That's what's going to help you next year. You need depth as much as anything. And yeah, I know that they've said they're probably not going to trade Waka. They've got to. I'm going to just keep saying they've got to, and I hope they're listening and go, well, Hakai has said it enough times. I guess we'll do it.
I hear you. I will say this on the Royals farm system because I am putting together my first top 30 for pitcher list that should come out at some point next week. A lot of these like college arms that were in high A and double A, they have stagnated. Whether it's injury, whether it's underperformance. Like I'm looking at guys like Drew Beam, Steven Zobak, Felix Arande. Blake Walters is he was formerly a well-regarded prospect, not highly, but well-regarded. He's still in high A. And we all know the story with Ben Kudrna. Like there's a lot of guys who are just not progressing at the rate that you want them to. But we'll see if the Royals can turn that trend around. Maybe they're just getting unlucky, or unfortunately, maybe this is a flaw in the current prospect pipeline that the Royals need to address. Any other goals for the second half?
Just keep giving Carter and Jack every opportunity to find their way in the big leagues. Whenever your next window is, it hopefully includes those two. If your next window is like after those two are helping, then what are we doing, guys? Come on now. No one in the current front office and coaching staff is probably still here either. So let's give those guys as many opportunities as we can find, and let's hope they succeed. And I'm just gonna one more time go back to Michael Wacha and say, if he turns into the next Whit Merrifield or David DeJesus or Joaquim Soria, where he gets traded a year too late for far too little, then I'm gonna be on the fire JJ train. I'm gonna be conducting the fire JJ train. Okay,
I could definitely see that. But if you have a goal, go and drop it down in the Spotify comments, or you could drop it in the comments on royalsreview.com. I definitely think that this would be, I know we're recording this on Thursday night and the second half starts Friday night, so it's a little late, but I definitely think this should have been something I wrote up for Royals Review or something. Like some goals for the second half.
I mean, you still can.
I still can. We'll see. I got it. Busy night. Busy night. I gotta do all the prospect rankings for the AL Central, not just the Royals. So.
Better you than me. I was just like, let me fix the All-Star break, and that was enough. I like to keep it general and broad.
I like it. So, all right, Jeremy. Anything else?
Into the high A of the Cleveland Guardians.
Listen, man, I'm out here watching just for the Royals still. I'm like, okay, who is this guy, and why should I care about him too much? Like, I'm
there
trying
are
to
not
find
enough Pop-Tarts in the world.
Hey, man, all about the Dominican Summer League, baby. And Jaibel Gomez. All right, guys, let's get on that trade. Definitely a top 5 prospect, though.
I like him.
Yeah, he's
Let me know when he's in Double A.
We'll give it a couple of years then. Oh, all right, Jeremy. Anything else before we move on to reviews?
Yeah, one more thing. Actually, two more things. First, gambling. FanDuel. Bryce Harper. Bryce, buddy, I need you to read the stuff that you get before you speak it, okay? I understand that you didn't realize that was, I believe him. I believe Bryce Harper when he says that he didn't realize that it was a FanDuel business thing that they were going to send to a whale, which is informally what those high rollers are called.
Yeah.
I believe that he didn't know that. But also, it said it was from blankety blank with FanDuel. So, like, ask some questions, bud. Ask some questions, okay? FanDuel, stop being predatory. All of you gambling websites, stop being predatory. I understand that if you stop being predatory, you'd make a lot less money. But this is awful. I hate this. This man lost $1.5 million with FanDuel encouraging him to keep betting because they were getting that money. They're like, I don't care how much money you lose. We want it. That's bad. Give me the 1.5 million. I'm a safer bet. I will invest it and improve my life. And instead of just giving it to some billionaire who doesn't even notice it, okay? Yeah. And then the second thing, remember that your MLB.TV subscription comes with MILB.TV. And you can watch High A. You can watch David Shields and Kendry Churio and Blake Mitchell. I've done it a few times. It's not bad. When they get to Double A, now I got to say, our Double A announcer, I cannot remember his name.
Sean Mernon.
Sean Mernon. He's my favorite. He's my favorite baseball announcer, period. End of story. So that's another reason I'm like, let me know when these guys get to Double A. I'm going to watch some Sean Mernon talk about him. It's going to be great.
I thought it was awesome when he was in the Royals booth. He's popped up a couple of times.
It was great. He was killing it. I'm like, whoever retires next, I'm sorry. I don't hate Eric Hosmer or Jeremy Guthrie or Jeff Montgomery. I think they all have flaws. I think they all have things that they bring to the broadcast. Okay? Get me Sean Mernon. Get me more Jake Eisenberg. I do miss Rex a lot.
Yeah,
and probably a Sean Mernon is going to replace a Ryan Lefevre or a Denny Matthews or a Steve Stewart, maybe. I don't know when any of those guys are going to retire. And I'm not saying any of those guys should retire. I'm just saying, boy, the Royals would be so much better with Sean Mernon in the booth than honestly any of those three guys. And I like all three of them a lot.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. And let's get some guys in Double A. Let's get some promotions going. Let's see some Sean Mernon.
There you go. Let's get some new blood there in the Northwest Arkansas lineup. I would absolutely love to see it. Let's go ahead and hop into reviews.
Can Zion Rose go straight to Double A?
No, please don't.
Pretty please. It'll be fun.
It wouldn't be fun. No, it would not be fun. Didn't we talk about this with Dayton Moore, Russian prospects? You either rushed prospects or he never moved them. Like, it was no in between.
I feel like we're doing the never move them thing.
I think we are doing the never move them thing. And AAA is kind of hurting because of it. But it's neither here nor there. I got a quick review today because it's over a movie I've already watched a couple of times, but I definitely haven't reviewed it before. It is the musical Tick, Tick, Boom. It is on Netflix. It stars Andrew Garfield, Vanessa Hudgens. It is by Jonathan Larson, and it's kind of an autobiographical story about Larson writing a musical to enter the theater industry. I think it's very well put together. I absolutely love the story. If you recognize Jonathan Larson, his claim to fame would have been Rent.
That's it.
Yeah. So that is, he passed away at a very young age.
Tick, Tick, Boom, and I've heard of Jonathan Larson, and I'm like, but I know him from something else.
Yeah. I think he also passed very young. I think he passed at like 35.
Yeah, I think he had AIDS, which is part of Rent.
Yeah, that it is. I know, like, they touch on that in Tick, Tick, Boom, like a lot of Larson's friends having AIDS and like him losing friends to it. So I really love the story. I really love how it's put together, though, how it's framed. It's also Lin-Manuel Miranda's directorial debut, and it's really, really strong. So I would highly suggest you go and check that out on Netflix if you have time. Jeremy, over to you.
Aortic dissection the day before its first preview performance.
Dang.
So not Ains. Let's not spread that around.
Nope.
Not make up rumors. My review, now that I've fully shoved my foot into my mouth, is the great taste of Arm & Hammer baking soda. No, I'm kidding.
He's Jake.
You know what? Here's what I'm going to give you today, Jake. I'm going to pull out of left field here, and I'm going to say Utz pretzels. I love me some Utz pretzels. Pretzels are the only food with my digestive issues that I can always eat. And I have their sourdough specials sometimes. Sometimes I have their thins. They're all good. and they're always good. They stay fresh for a while. I especially love that the sourdoughs come in a plastic barrel, and I could put, other pretzels. I'm like, I'm tired of the sourdoughs. I could buy the thins, and then I could put the thins in my leftover plastic barrel. Man, they're good pretzels, and they're not expensive. So that's my shout out this week, is the food that I eat pretty much every day, because it's the only food I know I can always safely eat.
I think that's a fair reason to eat it every day, though, Jeremy. I think I went up to their factory for a tour like 10 years ago. I was still in training in Maryland, and we took a trip to some fast food factory up
They've
in
they've they've got a
or
pub
Pennsylvania.
mix that I really like, and they've got cheese balls that are pretty good. I mean, they've got a lot of good stuff, but those pretzels, they're just pretzelish.
Hey, I do love me a
I
good
I
pretzelish pretzel,
people will go on and on about Snyder's pretzels, and let me tell you, Snyder's butter
man.
snaps, all about the butter snaps. I love the sourdough nibblers, but they don't got the pretzel thins. Their pretzel sticks are not good. They're
Yeah.
fine, but the oots, the pretzel thins, sometimes you're like, man, I just want like the pretzel of my youth, and
Mhm.
that's the oots pretzel thins.
Okay. All right. Alrighty, Jeremy. Well, thank you for another good podcast, man. For better or for worse, I'm ready for Royals baseball to be back. I definitely needed a break from it, though. I definitely needed the All-Star break to come and to
I'm glad you're
get a little
ready.
bit of a breather. Are you ready for it?
Not a chance.
It sounds like you're rooting for them to go 0-65. That's what I'm going to
I'm
spin
not
this
rooting
as.
for them to go 0-65. I just have other priorities.
There you go, and that's
If
okay.
they could go 65-0, but also add 2 really good prospects at AA or higher, and what was the other thing that I wanted them to do? I don't even remember now. I
Well,
had
folks,
another. Go back and listen and
there
remind
you
me
go.
what the heck I said I needed to do.
That's what I was going to tell folks. Like, hey, make sure you rewind about 20 minutes so you can remember what Jeremy was talking about. All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of the Royals Rundown podcast. We appreciate you sticking around with us. Another reminder, subscribe or follow. Find us on social media, but most importantly, go read over at royalsreview.com. Engage with other Royals fans so you can get through the rest of this season. We can hopefully start looking on to better and bigger things in 2027. I am Jacob Milham. They're Jeremy Greco. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And until next time, go Royals.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.